Hare Krishna, Gauranga. So I wanted to speak another shloka from the 30 key verses of the Bhagavad Gita. This one will be 3.13, so we'll jump to chapter ahead now. This one's quite a recognisable verse. And on reviving or going over this purport to my own self, because I obviously haven't studied these in a long time, I was quite shocked actually what Srila Prabhupada highlights as being the main thing in this purport, which, you'll probably get this shock as we go along into it. Despite what the translation says, you would expect Prabhupada to speak on a certain subject matter, but actually he goes into something in a more bigger scale. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this is 3.13. Yagya Shishta Shina Shanto Mukyante Sarvakil Bashai Bunjate Te Tvagam Papa Ye Pachantyatma Karanat. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The devotees of the Supreme Lord, or the persons who are in Krishna Consciousness, are called Shantas, and they are always in love with the Lord, as it is described in the Brahma Samhita 538. Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hriday Yeshu Vilokayanti. The Shantas, being always in a compact of love with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, the giver of all pleasures, or Mukunda, the giver of liberation, or Krishna, the all-attractive person, cannot accept anything without first offering it to the Supreme Person. Therefore, such devotees always perform yajnas in different modes of devotional service, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, etc. And these performances of yajnas keep them always aloof from all kinds of contamination of sinful association in the material world. Others who prepare food for self or sense gratification are not only thieves but also the eaters of all kinds of sins. How can a person be happy if he is both a thief and sinful? It is not possible. Therefore, in order for people to become happy in all respects, they must be taught to perform the easy process of sankirtana yajna in full Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, there can be no peace or happiness in the world. Om Ajnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapandantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Sunyavari Pashachadi Shatarini Mukam Karuti Vachalam Pangum Langayati Garim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramanandamaravam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Namashrestam Manamapi Sachiputra Atra Swarupam Rupam Tashyadvajam Uruparimatharim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramahoradika Madhavasham Praptoyasha Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tamnatoshmi. So yes, the shocker here is, of course, Prabhupada does speak about prasaadam. He does say, okay, taking spiritual food, but the main or overall goal is take to sankirtana yajna, take to the chanting of the holy name in full Krishna consciousness, gather together for kirtan, go out in the street on Harinam, go out in the Shiva books, which is the book with the written kirtan, book kirtan, or the written Bhagavat, study the scriptures, but somehow or another engage in sankirtana yajna, which is the global glorification of Krishna. And here you can see there's also different names that Prabhupada mentions here: Govinda, Mukunda, Krishna, So chant those names. Srila Prabhupada, when he met different representatives of the different faiths, he never said, okay, just chant Krishna. He said, whichever name of God you accept as being the name of God, chant those names. God has unlimited names. but a specifically and very special, in the original name of Krishna, or God, sorry, is Krishna, the all-attractive. And this is the process that he came to give. The most recent incarnation, or the most recent appearance of the Lord himself, was of course Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he never came to, he always comes to annihilate the demons, to re-establish the religious principles, which he did. At that time, Vaishnavism, even in India, had fallen off the tracks in that sense. It had got deviated into different kinds of, it just become an embarrassment, essentially speaking, is how it's put by the acharyas to describe how Krishna consciousness was at that time. And it was, it was a very kind of lost cause, But Lord Chaitanya completely revived the religious principles, and but he didn't, in one sense, and what we understand is the same as Krishna did, he didn't defeat any demons. What he does is he destroys the irreligious principles by the sankirtana process. And there's one famous verse that comes in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's Krishna vanam tu sakrishnam sango pangashta prasaadam yagyai sankirtanai prayer yajantihi sumedasaha. This is in the age of Kali. Intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. So we in ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada said that our ISKCON movement is a branch of the Lord Chaitanya's Gaudiya Vaishnava tree. He had different branches. His leaders went out there, Lord Nityananda, Sri Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar Pandit, and they had their different disciples and their different groups, all spreading Krishna consciousness all over the place. And of course Srila Prabhupada is the foremost prominent Acharya that we have at this time. And our purpose in ISKCON again is not to go out there and just defeat demons, although there is many in Kali Yuga in different forms and different ways. But our purpose is to purify the hearts of everybody, including ourselves, by spreading the chanting of the holy name. So Lord Chaitanya, he went everywhere, just chanting the holy name constantly. And he was in this mood of saying, when will I be able to chant the holy name properly, with tears flowing from my eyes, This is the kind of mood that we're looking for in this sankirtan process. It's not that we just simply say, now I'm chanting, I've got it, but to actually realize that we can never stop seeking for Krishna in the holy name. But it does start with controlling the tongue. So this idea of sinful food is a very powerful concept to get into. We always say this as a classic line in the Krishna Consciousness movement, that we're not vegetarians, we take prasaadam. And there's a big difference there between, good food, nicely decorated plate full of different, stuff. Even if you get into, this idea of, like, for example, Ayurveda, where the food is to your constitution, so it's fitting the body nicely. But what about the consciousness? What about, purifying the real self? Because the idea of the word prasaadam means the mercy of the Lord. So then you're really getting something potent. We've offered it with love to the Lord. He's accepted it. He's given it back to us. And then in taking that, we're again clearing off all these sinful reactions accumulated for years in this material world. Right? This is the point again of the Sankirtan movement. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years together, meaning years and years, countless years in this material world. So taking prasadam is part of that Sankirtan process, associating with devotees. We get together, take prasadam, we do some kirtan, we go out and preach together, we have some prasadam, we do house programs with some prasadam, That's always, and it's the same thing even in the material concept. You go to someone's house, do you want some water? I've got some tea or coffee, whatever it is. You want a packet of crisps, you want some, I'm having some sandwiches, you want a sandwich. If you go out on a walk, you bring something with you. If you've got some friends, you give it to them. So everybody's always offering in exchanges of reciprocation, And obviously, if there's any love there, or if there's anything more than just friendship, naturally you'll offer even more of a splendor of food, because food's one of the love languages. So Krishna's the same. What is Krishna's pastimes with the Gopas in Vrindavan? One famous one is, of course, just before the Brahma Vimohan Leela, where Lord Brahma becomes completely bewildered by Krishna's so-called mundane-looking pastimes, or his so-called lack of culture. He's sitting there with his friends, and he's giving them his food, they're giving him their food, When my wife tells this story to my kids, she usually tells it in a really funny way. She's like, Krishna, 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 my mama made samosas, Krishna, 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 my mama made sweets, and it's like that though. That's what they were saying. They were actually saying it like that, Krishna, 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 try this, Krishna, 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 try that. And they're shoving it in the Supreme Personality of Godhead's face. And he's taking it from one hand, from another hand, from another hand. We don't take food from other people's hands. Higher culture dictates, you take your own prasadam nicely, you sit, you focus. But Krishna's just taking it from everyone. And they're giving, 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 he's taking. And so Lord Brahma, he's sitting there thinking, wow, is this my Lord? Is this God? I've seen him do all these amazing things, but that can't be Krishna. So he does a little test and he tries to set Krishna up, But that's the love language. Krishna's giving prasadam and taking prasadam with his friends. And of course we know that the supreme person who cooks for, or the ultimate person who cooks for Krishna is Radharani. She's Krishna's cook. So when we go into our ISKCON temples, we usually call the deity kitchen Radharani's kitchen. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we sit here. What is one of the parts of his sankirtan pastimes? He goes to so many devotees' house, of course, of pure quality. He was very careful, again, being the strictest sannyasi, whose place he went to. Only Brahmins, only those who were chanting at least 64 rounds, those who were following strictly and understood the highest Siddhanta. But he would go to their house and take prasadam. And sometimes he would, they would describe in the Chaitanya Charitamrita pages and pages and pages of preparations that they would make. Because again, that's one of the things that purifies us. That was Prabhupada's three strike plan, the books, the kirtans, and the prasadam. Prabhupada again himself, he would give out cookies to kids. He would give out cookies to the devotees, and they would pile up to take that prasadam from the pure devotee. Because this is a wonderful reciprocation. So we have to be, giving something and getting something, in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise we think that it's not worth lasting in it, So we take prasadam and purify the mind and the heart, connect with the soul. Because anything that's taken from the grains cooked with the consciousness, or just the general mood of enjoying it for yourself first, just brings a selfish mentality. It brings a lusty mentality. It brings it just inflames the desire. So we know that it's one of the things that we have to catch very quickly, is this concept of enjoying what we eat, But here at the bottom, as I said, the main thing that Prabhupada highlights is that to get the happiness that we're all seeking in the material world, perform the easy process of sankirtan yajna in full Krishna consciousness. And the more you perform sankirtan yajna, the Krishna consciousness comes automatically. The holy name, as we say many times, is the foundation of all the services, it's the foundation of all the practices, It's the conclusion of all the shastras. So chanting, and congregational chanting, is the Yuga Dharma. Chanting the holy name was the most powerful process in all the ages, although it wasn't highlighted in all the ages. But in this age, as we said here, Lord Chaitanya, he came specifically to spread the holy name. And his astra, or his weapons, is the holy name. And there's a few other nice points here that helps us to see that point. There's another verse which is in the 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 351. It says, Kalir doshani de rajan ashtiyako mahaguna kirtanat eva krishnasya mukta sangha paramprajet. And it says, my dear king, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, so it's talking about this age that we're in now, This particular age is called the age of iron and quarrel, hypocrisy. So it's a very, very dark age. There's hardly any, if at all, any saintly personalities. There's certainly more vice than there is, wisdom and knowledge and, spiritual pursuit. He says there is one good quality, only one. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. This is the key to success, is to that degree which you can surrender to the chanting of the holy name. And of course, what is that Maha Mantra? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Every single day, every second, keep that holy name on your tongue flowing. And then even things like, did I get the right prasaadam? Did I do the right thing with my combination? That even also pales in significance before the importance of chanting the holy name. Because that purification doesn't wait for any other time and circumstance. Even with prasadam, if you really want to get into it, you go down the route of becoming a pujari or something. It mentioned here, one of those processes was archanam. So if you're doing dairy worship, there's very complex rituals that you have to do to offer prasadam to the Lord. Certain mantras, certain mudras, certain timings of the day. Holy name has no consideration. Even, and we've spoken about this, but I've mentioned this before, Lord Chaitanya, he went to the bathroom, he covered his tongue because he didn't want to chant, because he was showing this idea, what if I chant in a sinful place? No, chant in any place. Because any place where there's a devotee chanting the holy name, that place is purified. Anybody hears that holy name becomes purified. Even if that person is chanting Nama Parad, some effect will be there. Because the holy name just completely smashes down any barrier and obstacle in its way. Another verse here, and it's talking about getting into the sankirtana movement, because we want to, devotees want to preach, they want to spread, naturally by feeling such wonderful bliss from Krishna consciousness, or even, in the early stages feeling something, feeling a change of heart, feeling some effect, feeling certainly a difference of consciousness compared to what other lifestyle we were living before, right? We can all say that naturally, even just the quality of food and the mindset that goes into it. Anybody that goes to our Govinda restaurants, or these pizza cafes or donut shops or different things that we have around the world, they're flocking to it. Why? Not because it's just good food, because they feel something from the food. That's the attraction. Yeah, everybody likes to eat good food. It's good food, but what is coming from it? The quality. And the association with devotees as well, they're really nice, they're blissful, they always seem to have that buzz, and we're searching for buzzed up people, we're searching for happy people, right? Another nickname for the Hare Krishnas, especially in the days where there was massive sankirtan going on all the streets and city centres all over the world, they were called the Happies, because they're getting something from this sankirtan yajna, and they're going back to something, they're going back to nice prasadam, they're going back to read the books, and again, the same thing, out again onto the street, happy to preach, energetic, enthusiastic, So it says here, Kali Kalera Dharma, Krishna Nama Sankirtan, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tada Pravartana. The fundamental religious system in the age of Kali is the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Unless empowered by Krishna, one cannot propagate the Sankirtan movement. So again, we want to go out in Sankirtan, which is the Yuga Dharma, but we need to be empowered. How do you get empowered? You chant. When you chant, you're doing Sankirtan. You go out and chant, you get empowered to chant. You keep chanting, you get more empowered. Hand in hand. The goal is chanting constantly 24/7. How do you achieve that? Chanting 24/7. Such an easy process. Is why Prabhupada says in that purport, the easy process of Sankirtan Yajna. Because all the other things, to comb through the Vedas, to learn Sanskrit, to, certainly to learn shlokas, or to learn these processes of archanam, or to become an expert in kirtan, knowing the different kinds of melodies and tunes and the ragas and different things, or to learn mridanga, or whatever it is, it takes so many years of practice, and we don't have that much time. In Kali Yuga, it's one of the things that we're short-lived. I mean, we say we can live up to a maximum 100 years, maybe. There is a few people, exceptions, that are living, there's a few men that are 100 and something, But realistically speaking, how many people go past, or anywhere close to that time? So we have a short time to really get into it. So we're given the most effective and powerful process. Simply chanting the holy name, taking the Lord's prasaadam, and then just going out, getting together, and spreading the glories of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.